Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our virtual session here, the next guest up is Jacob Lauzier of MachineMetrics. Welcome, Jacob.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit of what your company does? I not being technical, it was I got it at a high level, but why don't you go a little bit into what it is that you guys are producing?
Sure. So we connect to manufacturing equipment and stream data in real time to provide manufacturers with real-time insights into the operations of their equipment. A lot of the data in this sector is typically siloed, where these machines, they produce vast amounts of information. And then there's all these separate pieces of software out there that also run their business, but they're not connected. And so we collect data from the machines and provide a way for them to improve their operations and make better business decisions based on data.
Fascinating. So is, and forgive my naivete around the subject, but are we talking about machinery that is sophisticated enough that it is computer-driven machinery? Yeah. Or
typically, yes.
Okay. Would it work in an old world manufacturing environment or
it does as well?
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that we set out early on to solve was connecting to the equipment. There's a lot of IoT software platforms out there that solve the cloud side. You figure out how to get the data, and we'll figure out how to display it. And then there's a fewer number of software companies out there that do just that connectivity layer, but don't provide the cloud solution. But nobody really tied the two together in a seamless package. And that connectivity portion is incredibly challenging. You have machines that range in age, kind of like what you're talking about, but also range in their capabilities. There's mills, there's lathes, different types of machines doing different operations. Some are working on metal, some are working on plastic injection molding. The range is dramatic, and the protocols that you'd communicate with these machines over also varies drastically. So we've developed a large library of connectivity software to reach out, communicate with these machines and their various protocols, and we convert it and map it to a consistent data model so that you can reason about data across your entire factory floor without caring really about what type of machine you're communicating with.
And is there actual hardware that goes along with it as well, the interface, or is it?
So we do ship sorry about the color on the screen there, but this is our Edge device. It actually comes in green. I have an old model here, which runs our on-the-shop Edge operating system. It connects to either machines directly over Ethernet, or in the case of older equipment, or if you want to add additional sensors to capture ambient temperature or different vibrations, we have another piece of hardware where you can connect various different sensors off the shelf and transform that data as it goes into our cloud as well. So it really opens up the types of machines we can connect to, from really modern ones, but also we're connected to lathes from the 1950s at some of our shops.
Wow. So is this providing manufacturers, as you said, with a number of different data points, real-time data points? I would imagine there's applicability not only for driving efficiency and productivity, but also preventive maintenance schedules and understanding, what's going on in the inner workings of the machine, as you talked about temperature, cycles, things of that nature. So really compiling all those data points.
Exactly. And so it ranges in use cases. The first set of use cases that our customers get the most value out of is actually pretty simple. It's just knowing whether their machines are running or not in real time. Many of the operators at these facilities are responsible for fives or tens of pieces of equipment, and they might be setting up one piece on one side of the floor and not know that their machine stopped because it ran out of material on the other side. And that could end up in hours of downtime that could be resolved very quickly, and then they could come back and continue their work on setting up a new different piece of equipment. That is one piece of it. Also, since we're capturing the number of parts that are made on the machine, we can track the operator and communicate with them whether they're meeting their goals or not. So if they start to fall behind, engineering can get involved and understand whether the operation of that machine is being costed effectively so that they can price their parts properly. But then we get into some of the more predictive elements further down the digital transformation journey, where when you want to understand whether a tool is going to fail in the future, we can do that as well. And what we do is we actually capture data at a very different frequency. When we're capturing data for production analysis, 1 hertz is typically fine. Whether the machine is running, understanding that at the 1 second level is fine. But when you want to know that a tool is going to fail, when you want to predict that, a kilohertz or higher is actually necessary. So with some of our customers, we've developed algorithms that are able to stop a machine with 99+% accuracy that the tool has failed, will fail.
So how much of the deployment is a customized development for your environments? Is it the hardware is standard, but the software development is all customized for the environment?
Sure. So we'll do a little bit of both, but really it's an out-of-the-box application that you can build on top of. So our customers, especially in 2020, we've seen a rapid growth in our customers installing themselves. In prior years, it was about 50-50. I'm not probably getting that number exactly right. But this year, I do know the numbers, 80 to 90% of our new customers are installing themselves. All new machines that we add, nearly all machines that we add are being added by the customers. And so they're able to add new equipment, get that up and running, and get value right out of the box. They don't have to even communicate with us, really, to soup to nuts.
So fascinating. Given that you're a co-founder, I'm going to throw you this question. Were you a manufacturing engineer or a software guy?
I was not. So my 2 co-founders actually have a manufacturing background. One was both manufacturing and software, and the other one was primarily manufacturing. And I round that out by being all software. So yeah, I graduated from UMass Amherst in 2007 and got my first job at a software company that happened to be owned by one of my co-founders. And when my work there ended up spinning out into a separate company, that did well for a couple of years. And then when it started to fizzle, Bill Byther, the CEO of MachineMetrics, reached out to me. And really my biggest hesitation with doing anything in manufacturing or really enterprise software in general is that it's boring and ugly. All of the software for enterprise is ugly. And he convinced me that that is actually a distinct difference that we can bring to manufacturing and enterprise software, is make the software something you want to use, something enjoyable, something intuitive. And that's what I think we've done with MachineMetrics.
It's fascinating because always from a consumer vantage point, I've always looked at software as an interesting industry because it's the one industry I'm aware of that puts out a product that is inherently flawed, yet it's acceptable because that's the nature of it, right? You're never going to get it perfect, otherwise you stop developing. Right. So it's really fascinating. Any particular industries? I know you touched on a gamut of different industries that you work with, but any particular verticals or niches that you guys focus on?
Yeah, the niche that we focus on is discrete manufacturing. While we can connect to a number of different pieces of equipment, manufacturing ranges from a variety of areas. Process manufacturing is what you typically see in the automotive industry, where you have a line of machinery that's working on a part or a car. But discrete manufacturing is different in that you have machines that more or less run a process from beginning to end to produce a final part. There might be multiple of those steps in a discrete manufacturing process, but those types of equipment, that very complex programmatically managed pieces of equipment, are the types that we typically see in our installations. But that's starting to expand too. I mean, giving your customers the ability to add their own machines, we're seeing new stuff added every day. Paint lines. There's a customer of ours that every day we see a new machine pop up, and it's something we've never heard of before. Temperature sensors, we have ovens connected to our system. It's pretty fascinating.
And because you guys are a SaaS model, all this data is flowing through your own data warehouse, and providing. And then, are you doing any analytics to the data, or is that something that's typically done by the client?
So we do.
Is that a service that you provide?
If the customers allow us to, and the customers own the data, we do get a license from them in many cases, most cases, to use that data either to improve our product or in an anonymized fashion, provide industry benchmarks, either to the customers directly or to the industry at large. Back when COVID hit, we started to post on a fairly regular basis the total utilization percentage of all of the machines in our portfolio in an anonymized fashion every week. And so you got a sense of where the industry was going and how it's been recovering in near real time. The government tends to track this stuff on a quarterly basis by survey. And what we found is that most manufacturers think that they're doing 80%, but in reality, they're more likely doing 30% utilization. So right now, I think last week, we finally hit the highest we've had in utilization percentage since the beginning of this epidemic.
Wow, so you guys are really providing some real-time feedback and information to manufacturers in terms of their efficiency and productivity. Better than the government.
We'll see.
Excellent stuff. Our guest is Jacob Lauzier. He's the co-founder and CTO of MachineMetrics. If people want to get in touch with you, prospective clients, anybody else, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Sure, they can reach me at jacob@machinemetrics.com. I'm happy to have a conversation.
Fabulous. Well, our pleasure having you on Radio Entrepreneurs, and wish you continued success, and look forward to hearing some new cool applications for your product.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll be right back with another guest on Radio Entrepreneurs.